Hey everybody, welcome to the Faith and Fandom Podcast, Artists Alley Aftermath Edition for Captain's Comics Expo 2024. This is, I think, my third, maybe fourth time vending at this show, but I'm pretty sure third, maybe, who knows. Either way, this is a show I return to kind of year after year, and there are different reasons I say we, like it's again, like I'm more than one person, the royal we. There are different reasons you make shows return shows. GalaxyCon Raleigh and Richmond, it's primarily because I get to do a Geek Church service. When those are out, I'm pretty much done. And then Heroes Con is because it's like the show that started cons for me. And I just love the experience. It's one of the best shows out there. For me, Captain's Comics Expo it's a smaller show, but there's a lot of good stuff going on about it. One, it's right by the ocean. You can literally see water from outside. They've got good Pokemon. The last couple years, there's been a Pokemon event happening while it's going on. It's right by the bridge that goes over the Cooper River. I believe it's the Cooper River. Something Darville Bridge. Because I always think of Arthur Darvill from Doctor Who. But I'll say this, the stuff that keeps me coming back to Captain's Comics Expo, the reason why I save one of the 5 weekends I get off from pastoring a year to go do the show is the people. And it's repeatedly just a crazy source of encouragement and just nice to be able to I just really enjoy the vibe there. Michael that runs the show is a solid dude. And I've just had consistently good experiences with it. And some of it is, attenders. Some of it's the people that work so hard to make it happen. I don't believe or even assume that y'all all listen to all of these things or that you've been listening long enough to, really connect. But, I mentioned the first time that I really went to this show. One of the volunteers that helps run everything is a man named Jeff Turner, and we really connected. He was just a really big encouragement and blessing. And then the next year, as I went back and as he was signing my wrestling belt, he prayed over me, and it's been a really just a good connection. I've got to know more of his family, and his whole family is just ridiculously encouraging. And their family's been through a lot, but they're just such a blessing to be around. And Jessica, who's part of the family, came up to me right the doors weren't open. I was still putting the booth together, and Rose and I were working on it, and she came up to tell me, she said that the podcast, the same ones you're listening to, helped get her through a hard year. And 9 times out of 10, when I'm recording these things, when I'm making podcasts, when I'm talking about shows, when I'm uploading devotionals and stuff like that, I feel not like I'm wasting my time, but because listen, I'm currently right now, it's 11 o'clock at night. I've had a long weekend. I'm sitting here, in the after funk of working at a con and driving for 3 hours, and I'm alone at my desk, and all the buzz and the hype of being at a show is over, and it's just me alone sitting in front of a microphone with a cluttered desk. So when I'm recording this stuff, it doesn't always feel like it's effective or that it's actually reaching people. And, I don't spend a lot of time looking at analytics because of how it gets shared and everything else. And I don't want it to ever be justified by numbers. I've really worked hard to avoid anything like that. But I also can easily forget how effective just being there and communicating can be. And for her to tell me that literally, like the show hadn't even started, and I was like, all right, I can pack up, I can go home. It's over. It's good. I've done everything I need to do. Um, and it just meant the world to me. I mean, and then just even sharing, like she dropped a note off to me, and realistically, um, she's probably gonna be one of the first people to listen to this. Um, but letting the people know that bless you that they're a blessing, um, I think that does work a world of wonder. A world of wonder. A world of good, not a world of wonder. Sounds like I'm describing Disneyland. It does a world of good to let people know they're actually a blessing. So, um, first of all, I'll say this. If you take the time to listen to these podcasts, you are a blessing to me. And I hope that any of the words I share can, in turn, hopefully be a blessing to you. But thank you. I say thank you all the time, but genuinely thank you. And to Jessica and to Jeff and the whole Turner family. Y'all have been so much of a blessing, and it's why I keep coming back to this show. Um, if I saw they're like, all right, we're done, we're never doing the show again, I'm like, I'm out, I'm good. But that being aside, and there's some other people there that really are just a good connection too. Um, but I just want to say, y'all help make this show what it is, and I'm so incredibly grateful. Couple things I do want to share about the show. One of the staples of why I do the show too is after the con is over. I've for 3 years now in a row, I've taken a different kid to this show. I started with my oldest daughter Bella. Not my oldest, my middle kid Bella. My younger daughter Carmen and my older daughter Rosa came this year, and so all three of my kids have come with me to this show in succession. And the big bridge that's right where the con starts, after a show, we'll go walk the whole bridge, or at least until where it turns into the city and walk back. And the portion of it we do is about 2 miles one way. And it's just a good experience to bond with my kids. And so, that's one of my favorite things to do. But as doing this, I just look forward to the show all the time for that capacity. Um, but yeah, we also last year, um, I made the foolish life choice in 2023 of of changing my plans instead of going up Friday to set up for the show, of DJing a dance Friday night and then leaving at 4 in the morning to go set up for the show. And I did that last year and caught myself off guard with how tired I was from it. Well, this year I got asked again, and it was already after I had booked my hotel for it. I already booked my hotel for Friday night, and was I was set. I was like, all right, nobody asked me to do a dance. I'm gonna go, do this con. I'm gonna stay a whole extra night. Gonna have fun with my kids. It's gonna be great. And then like when it got way close, my friend that booked the dance had hit me up and said, hey, can you DJ our dance again? And I was like, poop. But the reality is, I could DJ the dance, leave early, and then cover my hotel room with the money I made from the dance, effectively coming out of this weekend a lot cleaner financially. So I was like, okay, you know what? Let's roll with it. So I DJ'd a dance Friday night, then left at 4 a.m. We first off stopped at Buc-ee's, which is an hour south of us, and got coffee and snacks and breakfast, as one does, because I don't know that there's been a time I've really not stopped at a Buc-ee's when I have that opportunity. But we went and we set up. There's a lot of new stuff at the booth for this go round. One, we had Flockward, which is my comic book. It's the first show my comic book was at. Also, the response to that was really good. I feel like out of my initial order of comics, I went through half of them at this show. That was really cool. Book 9 was new out. This one, this is the first of this show that I had bite size at, and it was the first show at this location that I had, That's What She Said, which is our study of 5 women in the Bible. And that one sold out really fast. Partially because I didn't bring a lot of copies. But that one sold out fast. But it had a lot of new stuff there, had all new signage at the table, prices and stuff like that. Had a new banner. And I also made way too many candles, but I also didn't want to leave them sitting in there. So I stuck them down and I reconfigured our shelf to do that. I am currently in the place where I want to stop selling my t-shirts. Some of these shirts, especially like the Doctor Who one, I've been selling for literally 10 years now. And I'm just tired of carrying shirts around. I'm tired of ordering them. I'm tired of the space they take. I could eliminate 1/3 of my travel size stuff if I got rid of my shirts. So I'm currently selling all my shirts at $10, kind of a clearance price to just kind of move through it because I'm tired of setting them up. I'd rather just focus on other things and move on. But the booth was cool. I was set up between two visual artists, had a lot of anime themes and vibes. One of them was Rachel Sullivan. Yes, because I've got a sheet of her stickers over here. And then another lady was beside us that had some other cool stuff too. And I'm not complaining, but the spacing, it can be kind of tight between the booths. And one of the artists next to me moved their table a little bit closer to mine because they didn't want to be touching their neighboring table, and it made it incredibly hard for a man of my girth to make it through. And realistically speaking, every time I got up from behind my table, I almost knocked over the entire t-shirt rack, which also really made me want to stop selling t-shirts because I'm tired of knocking that thing over. Either way, this was also the first show that I had a QR code thingy set up to take you directly to the website. So that was fun. But yeah, it was, kind of booth as usual beyond that. I did appreciate having some new additions to things, but it was kind of booth as usual and how the setup went. And like I told you earlier, Jessica came and really started my day off good just by telling me that the podcast was beneficial. There's some really cool cosplayers out there too. There was one of the characters from The Mummy. I didn't remember any of their names, and I'm just like yelling "Mummy," and I sounded either British or something weird because I was yelling "Mummy," and nobody's character was named Mummy, and I was just like throwing people off. And yeah, it was just the whole thing. There was a couple different One Piece cosplayers at the show, which was really cool. Several buggies. I think I saw one or two Zoros, and a handful of Luffys, and that was all nice. I really appreciated the vibe of the buggies. The Simpson family from the Florence area came by and visited. They weren't going to be at the Florence show, and they've just been really cool. I met them at the Florence show like forever ago, and they've been just really cool, supportive folks. When I did my road trip to Georgia last month to see Chris Poirier's new restaurant, actually met them, gave them some free books and stuff, and they're just really cool. We love musical theater, all of us, and they're just a great family, and I really appreciate them. There's some photos of them with the comic as well in there. So it was a good first day. And one of the things too that was also just a big highlight that kind of just threw me off. When you're at a show and when you're doing things like this, everybody's not going to be about the same things you're about. And you can usually tell by someone's art where their heart is, right? So some of the booths near me, the art was like kind of an obvious conflict to what you would expect being next to a Jesus-based booth. And one of the artists that was near me that had some stuff that probably either my stuff would have offended them or they offended me or somewhere in there. I wasn't like offended, but you get the drift, like that they would be in a conflict in it after, let's say, half the day had gone by. After half the day had gone by, this artist, I guess after watching me interact with some people, she leaned over and she said, "The light of the Lord shines really brightly in you." And I about pooped myself. I was just so caught off guard by that comment and when it was delivered and how it was delivered. And she like, I was like, after I said thank you and there's just kind of a pause, she's like, based on the content of your booth, I assume that that's a compliment I could give you, that you would appreciate. And I was like, yeah, it is. That is a compliment you can give me. She's like, and I really do mean that. And I was like, you know what? You don't strike me as a person who's insincere. And I really appreciate that. And like, if there was tension prior, I think that really just like shook a lot of the tension free for me for the whole weekend. It was like between, Jessica's comment about the podcast and then her telling me this, and like, y'all, this was in the first 3 hours of the show. I was like, I'm good, I'm set, I'm straight. On top of that, my friend Todd Turner, who runs Mosaic Fan Art, sent me a prayer before the show even really started, that he was praying for me, and that was just cool too. It was just really cool. And I appreciate friends who pray. A growing trend of things that I really enjoy at shows are cosplayers who incorporate giving into their cosplay. Now, I'm not saying this selfishly. You don't have to give me stuff for me to appreciate your cosplay. But when you do, it like kind of takes it to the next level. I think the first time I really saw it was at Dragon Con. There was somebody that made specific Dragon Con carpet Pokeball buttons, and they were giving them to all the Pokemon cosplayers. And I was dressed as Snorlax. This past GalaxyCon Raleigh, and I've mentioned this too, there was a great fairy from Legend of Zelda that was giving out stars. Like, she asked, did I want to be healed? She blew me a kiss and put a star on me. Like, and that star is still on the dashboard of my car to this day, because I thought that was so cool. And then at Fayetteville Comic-Con this year, there was a chopper from One Piece who gave me a dope friendship bracelet that says "not food," and it's literally sitting on my desk right here. Loved it. And so at Captain's on Saturday, there was a lady dressed as Lady Dimitrescu, the giant woman from Resident Evil Village. And I said, "Oh, I love your Lady Dimitrescu." Just kind of been passing, wasn't going to take a photo or anything, because wasn't trying to slow her down or whatever. And she's like, well, let me give you a baby Rose, which, if you know the plot line of Resident Evil Village, it's a dad trying to get his daughter back. And trying to get this baby back. And so she literally had a bag of tiny babies. And she gave me one, and it's adorable. If you look on my Instagram, one of the posts from the weekend, there's the Lady Dimitrescu holding a tiny baby, and it's currently sitting in my sticker box, and it's going to stay in my sticker box and just kind of ride with me throughout the cons. But I love interactive cosplay stuff in that capacity, where they actually make giving you something to make it, because you remember it by, because like I'll see hundreds of cosplayers at shows, but I remember the ones that have made it, like, cemented that memory by adding something on to give. So that's just kind of cool. Also, over the past couple months, I've been working on my sketches. I bought some better markers, and I've learned that if I sketch while I'm at shows, it kind of like alleviates any anxiety or awkwardness I have in terms of just sitting there awkwardly waiting to make contact with somebody. So I have these little blank cards that are the size of playing cards or Pokemon cards, and I'll do sketches, and I'll start them in pencil, then I'll do marker coloring, then I'll do outlining with black marker, and I'll just put them in a little notebook, and it says sketchy bookmarks. And so I'll just do stuff randomly. I try not to just repeat things. And I set some show, or maybe I was at my house. I don't know when it was. At one show recently, or somewhere in there, I drew a mashup of Bert and Ernie from Sesame Street as Walter White and Jesse Pinkman from Breaking Bad. So Bert was Walter White, Ernie was Jesse Pinkman, and I thought it was hilarious. Like, it's probably somewhere in my Instagram, but I thought it was hilarious and it made me giggle. Nobody cared. Like, zero people cared about that. Like, they'd flip through the book, never get it, never laugh, never chuckle. Like, it was like, why do this? One dude flipped through my little sketchy bookmark book and he freaked out. Oh my gosh, is this Walter White as Bert? And I was like, and I said, look right beside him. It's Ernie as Jesse Pinkman. And he's like, what do I do? What do I got to do to get this? And I was like, those are the only two. Those are original sketches, and they're $1 each. And dude flipped out, and he like almost ripped my book apart trying to get these sketches out. He was so happy, and like literally, that's something I spent maybe 10 minutes on. But that dude was so happy over these stupid little sketches. And I just thought that was neat. It was a really cool experience with that. So I thought I enjoyed that he enjoyed that. And, I considered redrawing them, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to let those be originals and let that sit out there. Also, and I'm not saying this to be critical. I'm not saying this to poo-poo on the show or anything like that. But there is a TV mounted into the rafters, and they were playing music from it on what I believe to be a 90s Spotify playlist. And I'll say this, the music was straight bangers. Like, I was jamming all day long. Most people were too. But the TV was directly one booth over to the left of me. So one, the music was loud. And to be loud enough for the whole place, it was really loud on us. But there was a lady sitting directly under the TV, and I'm positive that lady's ears were ringing, and she could never have an easy conversation because of how loud that TV was. Now, if the music would have sucked, I probably would have like tried to find someone running the show and said, "Hey, can you turn this off or turn it down?" But because they were bangers, kind of just let it go. And then a random ad would pop up and scare everybody. But I'll say this, a good playlist helps a show. Because when they were getting ready for the cosplay showcase on Sunday and they turned the music off, I was like, oh, this kind of sucks. It's so quiet and nobody's playing a 90s banger. There was also a Pokemon event going on the whole time with Dialga and Palkia and some other stuff. And I could never get a group together, or when things were slow enough, I could never get a group together to do either of those raids. And I had no raid passes because I'm poor and I couldn't afford. I'm not paying money for Pokemon Go. So I didn't get to do that. Last year, was next to some people that were playing Pokemon Go the whole time, and we could team up and take stuff down. But this year, I just had to watch those raids go by, and it was kind of sad. I've also got a gentleman that he and I have had really good conversations over the last 3 years of doing this show. One year, we really connected over River Song. We talked about her for like 2 hours in Doctor Who. Last year, we talked about Ted Lasso. And this year, he came up to me right before the show was over. He's like, hey, I was taking my time today. And I was waiting to come to you till tomorrow. But I'm just letting you know, I'm going to come talk to you tomorrow. We need to talk about Doctor Who. I need to talk about my faith. And I'll see you tomorrow. And it made me happy that the dude literally just came to tell me, hey, I'm coming to talk to you tomorrow. That was just neat. The show ended on a good note. And, if you've heard me say this before, I'd never check my finances at a show during the show because I don't ever want it to be about financial stability to shift if I am having a good show or not. So I still don't know. I haven't counted because I got straight home and watched a wrestling match with my daughter because she was waiting to watch Rhea Ripley's match from Elimination Chamber, and then I did this. But I'll say this: it was a good experience, and I feel like a lot of books went through, but I got to make a lot of good connections with people, and I got to just bless people and kind of share and have the experience. The first ever copy of Flockward sold at this show. And it wasn't the only copy. A good amount sold, but this was the place I sold my first original comic book, and that's never going to change, and that's pretty cool. We also got some cheese tots from a food truck that was dope, and there's a refill drink cup place, and we drowned our whole body weight in butterbeer from Harry Potter at this event, so it was cool. Show ended. My daughter and I checked into the hotel. Really nice hotel. It's the hotel in the parking lot of the con. I've never stayed there before because I've always been cheap and I didn't want to spend it. But, I was tired of staying in the shabbier hotels. And this one included breakfast, and it was a nice room, and it actually had a refrigerator because the hotel I've stayed in the past haven't had a refrigerator. It was just a good experience. I do recommend it. The Choice hotel that's in the parking lot of Patriots Point. It was well done. When we walked in and got lemon water and a banana, just when we checked in our room, we knew it was going to be a banger. So we did that. We walked the bridge, just a good time with my daughter. And it was long, exhausting, and it reminded me I'm old and fat and tired. But as we got off the bridge and we were deciding what we were going to eat for dinner, because we haven't eaten a real meal that day, my daughter wanted to get seafood. There are people in my house that are allergic to seafood, and we wanted to get this opportunity. So we asked the showrunner, Michael, where's the best seafood? And he told us to go to a place called Shem Creek Crab House. We got there. It looked bougie-ish from the outside. There was a 40-minute wait, and they didn't actually have crab legs, which was what my daughter was looking for. So then we checked menus and prices, because listen, I think it was a good show, but I don't know if it was a good enough show for the prices on what that menu was. And then so we found a place called Saltwater Cowboy, and we were going to go try that. And we drove around, and the address on my GPS for Saltwater Cowboy takes you into somebody's driveway. And they literally have a crudely painted sign in front of what appears to be a mansion that says, "Not Saltwater Cowboy, turn around." And so we finally got to Saltwater Cowboy. And it literally looked, I've seen concerts with less people than this parking lot. And they were spread out across different areas. And so there was the main restaurant, and there was a parking attendant in the parking lot to get to a seafood restaurant. I said, baby, we're probably not eating here. I was like, this does not look like our type of rodeo. And so as we had to swerve past the thing, one of the other things we saw was that there was a dockside place that you could eat by the water. And I was like, oh, that could be cool. And it's not so crowded. But then I noticed there's literally a tent and a sign and a bouncer that says 35 and under. Under. Literally, I was too old to go eat at the snazzy seafood establishment. Too old. Not 18 and up, not 21 and over, 35 and under. And Rosa lost her ish and was cackling like she was called one of her friends from high school just to tell them that I was too old to go eat at the sexy seafood place. And that was hilarious. So we abandoned the seafood, and Rosa had never been to a Trader Joe's. And so I took her to Trader Joe's. We got some snacks, and then we ordered Chinese food. And I at least got her some shrimp fried rice. I know that's definitely not what she was looking for, but that's what we did. And so we got some food. We went back, cleaned up, got ready for the night. And day two kicked off. We enjoyed our hotel breakfasts. It was actually really good. And we kicked off the day to go in there. And my favorite shirt I saw the whole weekend was a shirt. And you can see this picture on all of our socials. And it had Mario kneeling in prayer. And it says, "Are you there, God? It's a me, a Mario." And I thought that was hilarious. If you're not familiar, it's a reference to a book/play/movie called "Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret." But it said, "Are you there, God? It's me, a Mario." And I just like, "Ma'am, do you mind if I take a picture of your shirt?" Which is always an awkward question to ask to begin with. But it was good. And I got to have more conversations with the Turner family. I got to talk to my friend who told me he was going to come by. And I'm not going to share into all of his private and personal stuff, but we talked about some really hard things that he had gone through. And some things that, I think broke his heart. And some things that broke my heart, even in hearing the things that broke his heart. And we had a literal 2-hour conversation, and my daughter was involved in the conversation, and we talked about one of my daughter's friends that had passed, and we shared some laughs, we shared some tears, and just standing there listening to someone I had known respectively for 3 years. Like, I've interacted with this person the same weekend 3 years in a row. We don't talk outside of that. We haven't conversed outside of the show, but like for the last 3 years, we've had at least a 2-hour conversation every time. And, this year was heavy, and we talked about some heavy things. And when he finished telling me about some of the heavy things, I just asked, I was like, "Can I come hug you?" And I was crying listening to him. And I was crying listening to the stuff that was breaking his heart and the stuff that he was going through. And I just went out and hugged him. And, y'all, this is why I like to do this. This is why I feel honored and blessed to be able to do this. People that I get to connect with, people that I get to make feel a little bit safer, people that I can help. Because literally the whole heart of Faith and Fandom is I want to help people find ways to connect to God, and people that may be passionate about other things to be able to see that they can be passionate about God, or that God is passionate about them. And I don't expect my books or memes or the podcasts or anything else to solve anyone's problems, but if it can be a good landing spot for them to get closer or start a relationship with God or heal their relationship with God, I'm so freaking grateful to be able to do that, to be able to be part of it, to be able to be part of that experience. And today was heavy. It was hard. Not that the conversation was bad, but it was a lot emotionally. And, I talked about a sensitive subject with one of my daughter's friends dying. And, so she was crying, I was crying. It was a lot. But I feel like we all left there a little bit more encouraged and a little bit more loved. And my friend told me that he looks forward to having these conversations. And I said, "Please understand, if you ever need me or you want to talk to me outside of this show, you don't have to wait a year. Please contact me." And he said that he just really appreciates me being there, and that please don't stop coming to this show. And I told him just point blank, I was like, "You literally are why I keep coming back to the show." And we shook hands and we parted ways so that we could stop being emotional in the aisle of this show. but it was good. I mean, it's literally why I love doing this. So yeah. Past that, it was, a solid show in those areas. One of my favorite cosplays, Mr. Turner's great niece, somewhere in there, someone in his family was dressed as Moon Girl, the Marvel character, and she did a fantastic Moon Girl. Check the pictures; she nailed it. But Mr. Turner, being the cool guy that he is, dressed as Devil Dinosaur, like a big red inflatable um, dinosaur suit, and to be in the cosplay showcase together, and that was adorable. And so I did a little sketch for them and of Devil Dinosaur and Moon Girl. And that was just I love that. That's just sweet as can be. Also, one of my other favorite cosplays I saw was Parappa the Rappa, if you know what that is. Also had a Luffy and Chopper come by the booth, and they came by the booth a couple times, and eventually, and they're just really good cosplayers. Um, and but then they actually came by and got books, and I was just like, oh, I didn't expect. It's like Rosa and I were both like, oh, they were cool. I didn't expect them to actually, want books, but they came by. And it was just, I loved it. I saw my first Karlach cosplayer from Baldur's Gate 3. I am only like I've barely stuck my toe into the Baldur's Gate 3 world, but it was fun. Saw another Zorro and Buggy today, and they even had a Buggy stuffed chopper, which I thought was adorable. I want one. There's a really cool Poison Ivy, and the lady that was hosting the cosplay contest was a Barbie cosplayer too, so it was kind of fun. And then the show went well. It was just a good show. It was good connections. Really encouraged by the people that I had the honor to connect with. I again haven't counted money or looked at what sales we had, but I can tell by what books are in my box that I was running low. So I tried to order some more books from the show to get for my next show. So we'll see how that goes. Um, yeah, we we finished up, said goodbye to our friends at the show. Just encouraged by the Turners and the people that run the show, and got to talk to the guy who makes the Frog Boy comics, and got to talk to Rico, who was one of the people that created Spider Gwen, and it was just an encouraging time to be there. And we packed up. We went to Raising Cane's because I've never been to one before, and my daughter really wanted to try one, so we went there, got some chicken tenders, and just rolled out. She finished her third book for this weekend. She's a big reader, and she finished her third book on the car ride back. We stopped at Buc-ee's for more coffee, and here we are. I just enjoyed the weekend. I enjoyed the opportunities, and it was a good experience. I would turn the Spotify playlist down a smidge, um, but past that, I just had a great time. Um, it's also been forever since I've done a show. I feel like it's been like 3 months, 4 months since I've done a real con, and so kind of feeling naked in that capacity of how long it's been. And but just being there a little bit of time reminds me of how much I enjoy doing this, how blessed I am to get to do this, and just that I do think it's important, and I'm grateful to be able to be part of this. So thank you for all of you who support me at cons. And I also found out while I was at this show that I am going to get to do Geek Church at the Lexington Comic Con that I'm going to be at soon. And so I just thought that was cool too. But just in terms of support, I want to take a moment to say thank you to our Patreon supporters who help make all of this possible. Jamie Montgomery, Matthew Coleman, Jonathan Herman, Ron Petit, Tesh Norton, Scott Ward, Alicia Glenn, Candace Davis, Jay Sheed, Jillian, Jason Crutchfield, Mike Perna, Todd Turner, Jonathan Jacobs, Zach Harris. Got some cool stuff coming up with him in the near future. Look forward to telling you all about. Caleb Graham, Jeanette Skaggs, Chris Poirier, Jason Bullock, Christina Ray, Sarah Lewis, Patrick Gale, Rebecca Godlove, and Adam Davis. Y'all are all absolutely fantastic, and you literally make all of this possible, and I'm just incredibly grateful for y'all. So thank you to everybody. That was just such a blessing, and thanks for taking time to listen to this. Kind of back more in full swing of podcast season, so there's going to be Faith and Fandom 180s coming. Not as often, but they're coming. We're going to bi-weekly instead of weekly, and you'll hear some more podcasts coming up. I just did a Love Thy Nerd podcast with Cut Right, who's a rapper. Got a podcast with a horror author named Timothy Huguenin. About to do one with a therapist that uses geek content to minister to others and to help in the therapy process. About to do that one this week, and about to hop on the Nerds and Jesus podcast for Horse and His Boy on the hopefully this week is sometime. Just lots of cool stuff coming up. And Matthew Coker, not Mike Perna, Matthew Coker wrote a Kingdom Come devotional, which will be the first devotional for book 10, if that exists. But if not, it's on the website. You can read it, and I need to post the audio for that this week, actually. I forgot to do that. Oops. But thank y'all for taking the time to listen. Thank you for supporting. And Lexington, Kentucky, I will be in the early March, and then I'll be at GalaxyCon Richmond. Yeah, and I hope to see you all at a con soon. Thanks.